So presumably, he is now increasing his risk for uric acid kidney stones, a different kind of kidney stone, now that he has replaced raw high oxalate plant foods with high animal protein foods. This is obviously very counterintuitive for somebody who is trying to minimize the risk of kidney stone development. Perhaps Bear Grylls is just unaware of this. Hey, what is up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about Bear Grylls and his recent admission to no longer advocating for the vegan lifestyle in his GQ interview, and how he's now consuming a much more ancestral diet. So I'm not as shocked as many other vegans are with this recent news about Bear, given a pro-ancestral eating post he made a couple months ago praising the Hadza tribe and their very low consumption of plants and high consumption of meat. I actually covered his post fully and went into all the problems with the reasoning backing, quote, ancestral diets. If you haven't seen this video, I'll have it put in the pinned comment of this video. I highly recommend you go watch it. Now, in that post from a couple months ago, advocating for an ancestral lifestyle, Bear had thanked the Liver King, Paul Saladino, and Carnivore Aurelius for their amazing health advice. And these are people who have a weird phobia against vegetables, so it makes sense where this dude is getting his health advice from. Liver King, Carnivore MD, and Carnivore Aurelius also make the same reasoning error with respect to ancestral diet advocacy, which I cover in the video I spoke of earlier in this video. So again, after watching this video, please go ahead and click the pinned comment of this video and watch that video on their reasoning and why it's flawed. Let's now have a look at the GQ article which published Bear Grylls' disengagement from the vegan lifestyle. Bear Grylls has quite literally developed a hatred for nuts and vegetables. He said, "Super against nuts and against grains, wheat, and vegetables. They affected my health negatively. I was a massive advocate of the vegan lifestyle for years and wrote a book on it, but my health tanked on it. When I got that virus," I'm not going to say it because YouTube's weird with that word, "a couple years ago, I doubled down on what I thought was healthy. Raw juice, vegetables, and got mega sore kidneys, almost kidney stones. The more research I've done, I've noticed raw vegetables are really not good for you. So I've started incorporating quality grass-fed steak and liver. My lunch is meat, eggs, and dairy, a lot of butter, and fruit. I have liver probably every other day. I started to get strong again." So he is super against all these different sort of plant foods and said that they have caused his health to be affected negatively. So I am a bit confused. He did say that he was an advocate of the vegan lifestyle for years and wrote a book on it, but the book he is referring to is titled Bear Grylls Fuel for Life, which contained recipes for South Indian chicken, buffalo burgers, venison shepherd's pie, and more. So I'm not sure what he means when he says that he was such a proponent of the vegan lifestyle that he wrote a book on it. The book was not a vegan cookbook. So when he got that virus, he said that he doubled down on what sounds like a raw vegan diet, which included raw juice, raw vegetables, and he eventually got mega sore kidneys and almost kidney stones. Now, although I don't know the specifics of his diet, seeing as he was very likely eating a raw vegan diet or something similar to that, and that he apparently had mega sore kidneys and almost kidney stones, I think it is reasonable to go over some research on high oxalate foods and kidney stones. First, let us cover what oxalates are and how they can develop kidney stones. Oxalate is a natural substance found in many foods. Your body uses food for energy. After your body uses what it needs, waste products travel through the bloodstream to the kidneys and are removed through urine. Urine has various wastes in it. If there is too much waste in too little liquid, crystals can begin to form. These crystals may stick together and form a solid mass or a kidney stone. Oxalate is one type of substance that can form crystals in the urine. This can happen if there is too much oxalate, too little liquid, and the oxalate sticks to calcium while urine is being made by the kidneys. Now, Bear Grylls indicates that he was consuming a large amount of raw vegetables, including raw juice derived from raw vegetables. Many of the vegetables people tend to use in juices can be high in oxalates, such as spinach and beets. And of course, in these juices, they are not cooked. They are raw juices, as people like to call them. And then also, nuts is another thing that Bear Grylls was consuming, which are also high in oxalates. So we've known for a while that cooking high oxalate foods rather than eating them raw is a great way to reduce the oxalate content of foods. It seems like Bear Grylls was, just like many raw vegans do, consuming a high amount of raw plant foods which are very high in oxalates. It also seems as though Bear Grylls is somebody genetically predisposed to developing kidney stones given what he said in the article. This is just a theory, but I posit that he replaced many high oxalate plant foods with animal foods lacking oxalates and began to feel better. I have a very limited amount of details here, so I'm not going to be making any absolute claims, but he did say that he stopped consuming things like nuts and raw vegetables, which we know can be very high in oxalates. Some irony here, though, is that a high animal protein diet, which is now what he is consuming, is a diet which people who are genetically predisposed to kidney stones should avoid. In this paper titled Relationship of Animal Protein-Rich Diet to Kidney Stone Formation and Calcium Metabolism, it was stated that urinary crystallization studies have revealed that the animal protein diet, when its electrolyte composition and quantity of protein were kept the same as for the vegetarian diet, conferred an increased risk for uric acid stones, but because of opposing factors, not for calcium oxalate or calcium phosphate stones. So presumably, he is now increasing his risk for uric acid kidney stones, a different kind of kidney stone, now that he has replaced raw high oxalate plant foods with high animal protein foods. This is obviously very counterintuitive for somebody who is trying to minimize the risk of kidney stone development. Perhaps Bear Grylls is just unaware of this. Let this just be a sign that instead of consuming a predominantly animal-based diet or predominantly raw vegan diet, we should instead aim for a whole plant-based diet comprised of a solid combination of cooked and raw foods, especially for somebody who has a higher risk for kidney stone development. I'm not going to be covering the ethics of Bear Grylls' decision here and his, inconsistency, given I don't really have a strong reason to believe that he was ever in it for the ethics in the first place. It seems like he was more like those health raw vegans who always end up going the opposite route. This is nothing new. But yeah, Bear Grylls has a very large platform, and him, spreading this ancestral diet pattern involves so many animals being bred into existence to only be exploited and killed, because the ancestral diet advocate groups online tend to be very much animal based. So it's problematic, and this kind of shit needs to be called out by people who have, decent platforms. So that's why I'm doing this right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you support my work and want to support me on Patreon, the link is in the pinned comment below. I also have an ebook covering how to respond to basically every single argument you're going to hear online against veganism. So if you're interested in that, that'll also be linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dude,
fuck off. I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who's your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude,